I have an activity for us today, situated perfectly inside the middle of my homily. It's an activity you've done before, but perhaps not in a good while. So hold on to that and be ready. Before we get started, I want to offer a few comments about the whole congregation model of faith formation and the changes we've been practicing in worship this year. Together, we have grown into a commitment to multi-generational worship by creating new rituals together, rituals that ignite our imaginations, connect us to our Unitarian Universalist faith, and call us closer into community. For example, we have expanded what is possible for our joys and sorrows, bringing movement, art, creativity, and song, and a touch of ritual, honoring our joys, concerns, and sorrows, hopes, and dreams, and it allows our whole selves to be present to the hard and hopeful places in our lives. This year, we have experimented with dance, music, poetry, inviting our bodies, hearts, and minds into the whole of worship, making dynamic, sacred space together. We've brought more engagement into our time for all ages, as you saw today, so it is more experiential and playful, and we've woven music into our multi-gen services, and on several occasions, we've even danced together. As we commit ourselves to the whole congregation model of community life, we are reminded, just as we noticed today and we have learned throughout this year, that what is good for children and youth is good for all of us. The gift of multi-generational community is an invitation to center wonder, awe, playfulness, creativity, and embodied and somatic movement that heals and restores our spirits. A goal of the whole congregation strategy is for us to explore our Unitarian Universalist values of love, pluralism, transformation, equity, justice, and interdependence as we challenge ourselves to live with love at the very center of our lives through everything we do together, including worship. The whole congregation model also challenges us in a good way to notice that everything we do is faith development. The congregation is the curriculum, and we are each on a journey of learning, growing, sharing, and supporting one another as we live our faith and our Unitarian Universalist values together. We are co-creators of our congregational life, connected, woven together, and separation is just an illusion. We think that faith formation for children and youth happens in Columbine House, and it's true, sometimes it does, but it's also true that faith formation happens whenever and wherever we gather to light a chalice, to work for justice, to gather in community, whenever we share our joys, our care, and concern with one another. Faith formation is what holds us together and gives us direction. Perhaps you've noticed that the concept of shared ministry is embedded in the whole congregation model for faith formation, which emphasizes collaboration, communication, and shared problem solving. It asks us to think outside the box together. We each have a role and a shared commitment to the future of the congregation, to the future of Unitarian Universalism, and each of us is important in shaping that future. So Let's pause and have some fun. Will the folks holding up the yarn raise your hands and rise? 1, 2, 3. Hello. So I'm going to ask a few questions. And as I ask the questions, the folks with the yarn, you're going to hold on to the very end of it, and then you're going to toss it to somebody. And we're all going to stand up to do this. We're not going to throw it at each other. It's not what I said. We're going to toss it gently, and we're going to see what happens after we do this, after a couple questions. So let's get up. Yes, and when you receive the yarn, you're going to hang on to it, and then you're going to throw it again. So don't let your little piece, and here's the thing, you might end up with a couple. Let's see what happens. Pass the yarn to someone you met at coffee hour.
They're already dropping.
Pass the yarn to someone you met at coffee hour. Let's let it go for a couple more. Let's go 2 more tosses. And hang on to your little piece of the thread. All right? Toss it again. Hold on to it, Sharon. Hold on to it. Don't let it go.
Sharon, hang on to your piece.
All right, next question. Pass the yarn to someone you met at worship today. This should be easy. Yeah, somebody you said hello to. Just hold on to your little piece of it. I see you. Hold on and toss it. And keep doing that for a couple times. Don't overthink it. Toss it, toss it, toss it. Gently. There we go. Now we're getting into some action. Hang on to your little piece of it when it comes to you, because we're going to build a web. There! Woo! All right. All right. Keep doing it. We need to get a web. There we go. There we go. Pass the yarn to someone you know from a social justice activity here at the fellowship. Keep passing it. Keep passing it. Pass the yarn to someone you met at a social that you know from a social justice activity. Liza's over here. We have this. Yeah, there we go. All right. You just throw it. There we go. Marilyn went big. Right over here. There we go. Right. Yeah. Pass the yarn to somebody involved in our faith formation programming. Just toss it. Whoosh. Toss the yarn to... There we go. I see one got lost. Where's one? Hold up. There we go. I see the red. I see the pink. Pink is in play. I see the white. All right. Let's hold up the web for just a second. All right. Pass the yarn, whoever's holding the yarn, pass the yarn to someone you would like to meet. Just throw it out. It's okay. Yep, there. That's perfect. Steve was there for the intercept. Final question. Pass the yarn to someone you admire. There are a lot of people to admire here. Woo! There goes the red, there goes the pink. So, tell me what you notice about this game. What shows up for you as we play this game? Just shout it out and I'll share it back. Connection, yes. Everybody's smiling. We're having fun. What else? Huh? Joy. We're all part of a web. Spot on. Now I want somebody, let me see. Liza, I would like you to pull on your threads that you're holding and let's see where they go. Just go. Just tug on them. Who feels Liza tugging on her threads? What happens in one part of the system affects the whole. We feel it. It reverberates, and it shows up with reactions. It's dynamic and alive. Anything else we notice about our web? It's pretty. It is pretty. It's pretty from here, too. Anything else? It's complicated. Thank you, Lynn. It is complicated. It's not easy. It's not easy to live in a dynamic, living organism where everyone is connected and we all care about the health and vitality of the web. So let's put yes, Marilyn. I'm the only one not in the web. That's true. There we go. I will touch upon the web. Believe me, I'm in the web. I wake up to the web every single day. So, no strings attached. All right, let's put the web down. I love that exercise. I love the way it reminds us of the visible and invisible ways in which we're connected. I think the complexity of the web is also true. Some of the feedback I've gotten this year is that worship feels more joyful, playful, and there's a spirit of community as we make meaning together and find resiliency during these difficult times. I've also heard feedback that worship sometimes feels a bit disorderly and even less professional than it used to. Thank you. And I confess that I find that feedback pretty interesting. And I wonder about worship practice that is liberational, engaging, that has room for emergence, new possibilities that nudge us into new understandings and connections. I also wonder how worship can be more inclusive and welcoming as we live our commitments to justice and liberation for people in the earth during our Sunday morning experience. Our worship associate team is taking this question very seriously in considering how we can widen the circle of inclusion to widen the threads of our web on Sunday morning. We are transforming our relationship with perfectionism. When I was in theological school, I met a wise PhD student late at night at the library while I was finishing up one of the endless papers due that week. He saw the look of exhaustion on my face and he said, Quote, remember, perfection is the enemy of the good. I've come to appreciate this sage advice even more as I register that goodness becomes greatness when we are willing to take risks, challenge what we think and know, and when we are willing to listen and work together. Perfectionism, that specter of white supremacy culture that holds us back, is a barrier to realizing the goodness of what we can become together. I witnessed the yarn strung across the room, and I noticed it, and none of us said it, that it's messy, it's chaotic, and gosh, is it beautiful. There are relationships here, joy, delight, that leads me to believe that sometimes, if not almost always, the mess is holy and divine. Next year, we will continue to practice and imagine multi-generational community. We will continue to experiment on Sunday mornings, welcoming children and youth into leadership roles, expanding our connections with one another, making space for love and transformation, so our faith will be vibrant and alive for at least 200 more years. May it be so, and blessed be